Well, it's the day after one of the worst losses in modern-day Nebraska football history. The Huskers lose to Indiana 56-7. So it's finally time to bring up a big question. Where do the Huskers go from here? So in today's video, I'm going to tell you about the future of the Huskers and how they can possibly finish this season strong amidst all the negativity. So really quick, please hit that like button. I know we lost yesterday, but please hit the like button. It would help me out a lot. And hey, if you're new here or you're a returning viewer, please subscribe. I post Nebraska football content every single day through thick and thin. So if you're a diehard Husker fan, please subscribe. You will be thanking yourself that you did. But without further ado, let's get into the video talking about this question. Now, I'm not going to talk about yesterday's game. Nebraska, of course, got blown out by Indiana. I'm not going to discuss that at all. I didn't rewatch the game. I didn't look at the box score. I didn't look at the stats. It's just one of those games that I never want to look back on. Okay, and it serves me no purpose to look back on it because it was painful. Okay, so I talked about it extensively yesterday. It's gone. It's in the past. I'm only going to look at the future in today's video. Where do the Huskers go from here? First things first. I've talked about over the last couple of weeks how important bouncing back is for Nebraska, specifically after we lost to Illinois. I was disappointed with that Illinois loss, but I said we've got to bounce back. The coaching staff will be defined on how we bounce back. And although we won versus Purdue the very next week, I wasn't thrilled with our performance. It was 0-0 at halftime, and we barely beat them 28-10. And Purdue was the worst Power 5 football team in the country. And I told you guys post-game, yeah, it's cool we won, but there are a lot of errors in this team. There are a lot of flaws. And if we don't address them, we're going to get burnt sooner rather than later. A lot of fans are like, Wilson, it's fine. We'll address them. Well, we go into Rutgers the very next week, and we lay another egg. Yes, we got the victory, and that's good. But we only won 14-7. And we thought Rutgers was a good team. Turns out they're pretty bad. They got blown out versus a bad Wisconsin team the next week who put up 42 points on with a backup quarterback. And then they lost to UCLA yesterday. So although we won 2 consecutive games after losing to Illinois, we didn't play good football. We were playing very average football, below average football against inferior opponents. So looking back on it, it actually wasn't too shocking that Nebraska did what they did yesterday and really laid an egg. So now the exact same question appears. How can we bounce back? The coaching staff will be defined on where we go from here. Okay, we play Ohio State next week. Ohio State's a good team. They're coming off of a loss to Oregon. They're going to be fired up and ready to go, and they're going to be angry. How do we perform? Nobody's expecting us to win. I'm not really even looking at that at this point. Do we go out there and compete and give them a ball game? Or do we get blown out the exact same way we did yesterday, get embarrassed, and leave with our heads held low? That's what I'm looking out for. Okay? Because again, the spotlight's gone. Matt Rhule said at press conference that he doesn't like the spotlight, doesn't like being ranked. Oh, you got it, Matt Rhule. We're not ranked anymore. We're not even close to being ranked. We're not receiving any votes in the AP poll. Okay, spotlight's completely off us. We're not relevant to this day. So you got what you wanted, Matt. Now what can we do with it? Can we shock some people? Because I don't think we're going to beat Ohio State. Nobody thinks that. But can we go out there and be competitive? Okay, because it is bleak. The future is bleak. There are no easy games on the schedule going forward for Nebraska. We have 5 games left to win 1 game to make the postseason. They get a bowl game. Who knows if we can make it? Ohio State, that's probably a loss. You play a good UCLA squad that's improving every single week. Then USC on the road, Wisconsin, and Iowa. There are no freebies. There are no Rutgers on the schedules. There are no Illinois on the schedule. There is no Northern Iowa on the schedule. Okay, these are hard football games. And if we go to recent memory, last year we were in the exact same situation. We had 4 games to clinch bowl eligibility. Matt Rhule went 0 for 4. Can that change this time? I don't know. And I'll tell you this. If we don't have success over the next 5 games, maybe we only win 1 game, maybe we win 0 games, Matt Rhule needs to fire people. It's not even up for debate. It needs to happen. If he wants to be a competent head coach, he needs to fire people. You are only as good as your surrounding core. A lot of people like to blame the coaching staff, not the head coach. But again, a head coach is only as good as the guys he employs. And Matt Rhule employed these guys. He decided on these guys. He hired them. Those are his boys. Matt Rhule doesn't fire guys. That he said that time and time again, he doesn't want to fire his friends. You know who also didn't fire their friends? Scott Frost. And I'm not comparing the two. I'm just saying that's something that Scott Frost didn't do. He didn't want to fire his friends. Okay. Matt Rhule, I believe, is a leader. I truly believe he's a leader of men. But if you can't get rid of dead weight as a head coach, what kind of leader are you? If you're keeping around guys who don't contribute to the program, what kind of leader are you? What kind of example are you setting? So if Nebraska isn't successful, you've got to get rid of guys like Ed Foley, Marcus Satterfield, Garrett McGuire's even, who were questionable hires in the first place. So that's something I want you to remember. How good of a leader are you if you can't get rid of the dead weight? That's an equation that Matt Rhule is going to have to think about over the next couple weeks. Okay, because he talks the talk. And again, like I said yesterday, I truly believe in my heart of hearts, Matt Rhule's going to figure it out here. I do. But I also believe that there are some coaches who should not be employed going forward because they haven't been good. And I also believe in accountability. When you're getting paid a certain $1 million a year to be here, you should coach at a certain level. And we just haven't seen that. Okay. So we've heard the words from Matt Rhule. He's really good at hyping up the fan base. He's really good at seeming relatable. That's great. He's a politician. Now it's time for him to walk the walk. He talked the talk. Let's walk the walk. If we go out there and execute, great. We're playing as good as we know we can. If we don't, you need to fire people because at the end of the day, the talent's good. I truly believe the talent is good on this roster to win 8 games. We have a 5-star quarterback for crying out loud. We have a great receiver core, on paper at least. We have a great defense, on paper at least, and yet we're not performing. So who do we blame? The coaching staff, because you either lose games because of talent or coaching. Fortunately, we have the talent, we just don't have the coaching, so it's clear as day. So here's another question for you. What's a successful season for Nebraska? I asked a lot of you guys this in the offseason, and a lot of you said 8-9 wins, and I still am there. I think an 8-win season is successful for the Huskers. You know what I don't think is successful? 6 wins. And beggars can't be choosers. I love to have 6 wins at this point, but is 6 wins really an improvement for this team? It'd be nice to make a bowl game, but is that an improvement? Is that an indictment that Matt Rhule is taking us forward? I don't think so. Think about the talent we had last year. We had a lot of issues last year. We had Hoiberg starting at quarterback. We had 2 true freshman receivers starting. We had a bunch of issues on the offensive and defensive lines. We had a lot of issues, and we scraped together 5 wins. With all the talent we added to this roster this year, and by the way, we have one of the easiest schedules in America, to only improve by 1 win is not good enough in my opinion. So 6 wins is not an improvement for this team because, and I told you guys this throughout a couple of weeks, I'm holding this team to a different standard. I believe the talent's good enough to win 8-9 games. So if we aren't able to do that, it's an indictment on this coaching staff and the ineptitude, honestly, of these positional coaches. So we need 8, in my opinion, for this year to be a success. I want to know what you think. What's success? 6 wins is nice, but it doesn't move the needle. It doesn't help you out. You think recruits are convinced that Nebraska is turning a page if we win 6 games? They're not. They're not impressed by us playing in the Motor City Bowl against a MAC team. Okay, they're not impressed by us going from 5 to 6 wins with Raiola at quarterback. They'll start to be impressed if we win 8. And trust me, they weren't impressed after yesterday. They were watching that. They're not stupid. The fan base isn't stupid. The recruits aren't stupid. They see this stuff. So that's why I think is a successful season, 8 wins. I don't think we'll get to it because it's a hard schedule. But as I said throughout this video, we will be defined going forward on our response from yesterday. How do we respond? I don't expect us to beat Ohio State, but can we go out there and at least be competitive? Because we have enough talent to be competitive. We will see. We got to have a fight against Ohio State. And then we got to go have some confidence versus UCLA, beat them, clinch bowl eligibility, and we'll see what happens in those final 3. But man, very frustrating loss yesterday. A lot of the same questions we had last year. But I will tell you this. It goes back to what I said earlier. If we only have 5-6 wins this year, it is paramount that we fire some assistant coaches because you're only as good as a head coach as your assistants. And if you don't do that, we need to start questioning Matt Rhule's leadership because how good of a leader are you if you refuse to fire people? That's not a good trait. That shows complacency. You've got to make hard decisions as a leader, as a boss, as a businessman, as a guy who's getting paid $7 million to be here. And if you don't do that, it shows that how committed are you to winning? Something I want you to remember. So hopefully Nebraska bounces back versus Ohio State. Again, it's a tough game. It's not something you would dream up of. You usually want to have a bounce back game, play a Rutgers, play a Maryland. Nope, we play one of the best teams in the country. We're probably going to get our butt handed to us. I'm not looking at the score. I'm looking at our performance and how we show our effort. If we go out there and play well and look like we want to be there, maybe we have a future and maybe we can make a bowl game. But that's going to be the conversation for the rest of this week. All right, guys, let me know down below. What are your thoughts about the future of Nebraska football? Let me know some of your takeaways from yesterday. Sleep on it. What do you think? After 24 hours, let me know in the comment section. Hey, if you made this far in the video, appreciate you. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And as always, folks, go big red, go Rhule, and see you in the next one.